Hello, my name is Dean Chiarelli. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a registered environmental health specialist. This session addresses food system resilience and safety, with an emphasis on Arizona's hot urban areas. Food producers face severe disruptions from natural and human-generated hazards, ranging from extreme weather, such as the kind of events that we've seen in the last few years, fires, floods, and drought. The Arizona food system is especially vulnerable to climate change-driven environmental stressors. An overarching question I address here is, what factors enable a food system to prepare for, respond to, and recover from disruptive events that threaten its resilience? Food systems must be able to withstand immediate disruptions such as civil unrest, cyber attacks, and hurricanes, as well as those that have a more gradual impact, such as sea level rise, droughts, and funding cuts. As a result of climate change, extreme weather events such as winter storms, floods, and heat waves are expected to not only increase in frequency, but also be more intense. In this session, I'm going to define some terms: food system resilience and the organizational level variables that affect resilience. I will outline some of the ongoing challenges post-COVID. I will interpret some data from 32 different statistically valid climate models to show what the future holds for Arizona into the 21st century. I will postulate the relationship between climate change with food and waterborne illnesses, and I'll examine the impact of different environmental stressors on the food system. I'll summarize some strategies to promote a healthy and resilient food system with a focus on greenhouse gas risk mitigation and proactive city planning. Natural and human-caused crises can cause damage to food systems and people's access to safe, affordable food. I'm a dietitian, and although I'm not going to focus on this topic in this session, I do want to remark on the situation of food insecurity. The type of climate change variables that are very destructive for developing nations are often not caused by the economies and actions of those countries. They're caused by more wealthy nations, but they bear the brunt of it, which sets a stage for a very inequitable form of food system inequity. Building more resilient food systems ensures a continuous supply of safe, accessible food. By definition, vulnerability is defined as a function of exposure to climate change effects, sensitivity, and the capacity for smart adaptivity. Resilience is the ability to prepare for, withstand, and recover from a crisis or disruption, whether that is anticipated or whether it's completely out of the norm. A resilient food system denotes the infrastructure and processes for growing, harvesting, processing, packaging, distributing, marketing, consuming, and disposing of food and food-related items. That is a mouthful. One might think food is relatively easy. You plant a seed, it grows, you harvest it, you bring it to market, you eat it, everyone's happy, said and done. It's much more complex than that, and there is a chain of custody which is sensitive to the environment. The chain of custody refers to where the food has its point of origin, through all the different processors and handlers, to the places where it actually prepared, all the way to it gets to be on a fork ready to go in someone's mouth. This continuum includes the needed inputs and all the generated outputs. For example, water, equipment, technology, and how we deal with food waste. Food waste is another issue I'm not really going to target in this session, but it's worth noting that about 30 to 40% of all food produced is wasted, thrown away, not used, which also contributes to landfill in addition to all the energy used to produce that food from the very beginning. Multiple factors contribute to disaster preparedness and resilience planning. Formal emergency planning, staff training on protocols, and staff attendance are directly related to the ability to deal with some sort of bad situation. This means having enough workers who can actually operate, that are ready, and have a plan. Infrastructure redundancy refers to different tools and resources that function during disruptive events. Some examples are backup generators, refrigerated trucks, dry ice, burners that provide butane or propane, rain barrels, portable water pumps, snowplows, security guards, cyber communications in case all communication systems are down, and a way to back up data. Inventory redundancy consists of food on hand and resources that help to restock and minimize waste. Insurance coverage helps recovery for losses in businesses, property, vehicles, crops, and workers' compensation. The American Risk Management Agency provides a variety and assortment of actuarially sound crop and livestock-related insurance products. These help producers to manage risks. Coverage is provided against losses due to unavoidable natural perils such as drought, excessive moisture, fires, hail, wind, hurricanes, tornadoes, lightning, pests, and more. The Southwest region procures an abundance of specialty crop insurance programs for crops that are common in the Southwest and Arizona: fruit, vegetables, nuts, livestock, and cotton. And I'm going to discuss vulnerabilities to those food products later on in the session. Food supplier diversity refers to food suppliers' capacity to address issues with delivery, proper food handling, and the chain of custody, that long process where there's different hands and different stakeholders who handle food, some of which may be highly perishable. Location and backup service providers refers to the collaboration of multiple sites and locations. It's generally beneficial and helpful when there are multiple stakeholders who can provide support during this kind of situation. Adaptive learning consists of post-event debriefing. This is an opportunity to learn lessons from situations that have occurred. This is very helpful when updating emergency plans and guiding future decisions and priorities. Large organizations that are better resourced and affiliated with national or government partners typically demonstrate a lot more resilience and ability to recover when compared to smaller independent and nonprofit organizations. A better understanding of factors contributing to resilience is really necessary to guide the best resilience policy design. Let's look at an example of organizational resilience using greenhouse reduction initiatives. A probable indicator of successful preparedness is whether initiatives are reactive versus proactive. Risk and mitigation are vexing issues. There's no doubt about it. It can be really hard to predict with accuracy the impact or cost of something that did not happen. For example, one might ask, what's the difference between a 100-year flood versus a 500-year flood versus a 1,000-year flood? Do we really know with certainty? Can the common layperson actually answer that? Can an informed professional really answer that? What are the what ifs? What do we need to know? It's really helpful to quantify those to actually have a measurable, actionable outcome. Consider an example where an effective greenhouse gas initiative is successful. Plus, the system is ready for emergencies. This is an ideal situation, one that we should all hopefully aspire for. But one might also ask, why are we doing this? Everything seems fine. This is a lot of hard work. We're not really seeing the benefit. But we actually are seeing a benefit in that when something bad does not happen, it actually is a good sign. It means that the system is working. So an ideal situation is when we have good initiatives implemented and they work successfully. Researchers measure resilience using different kinds of qualitative and quantitative tools at different levels, including supply chains, the city, and community levels. I'm going to summarize some COVID challenges that we've seen over the last couple of years, and then dive into climate change and models. COVID has accelerated some existing challenges and issues. For the first time in my life, I saw food hoarding and extreme anxiety about food security. I saw people buying multiple units of toilet paper at Costco. I saw people fighting over water at Walmart. I saw people buying large amounts of sanitizer and selling them on digital platforms like Amazon, etc. This was troubling and something that one might think would only be in a drama or horror movie. Delivery and transport started to be problems in 2021. Exports and importers struggled to get the right kinds of containers, trailers, and common staples to get their products to market. Ports were severely congested due to closures. I don't know today in 2022 if ports are still congested, but I am still hearing very often that supply chain is an issue that's preventing markets from having fully supplied stock, and it's probably contributing to the persistent inflation that we're seeing now. Food prices in the year 2021 hit their highest level in 13 years due to increased product and transport costs, supply chain snags, and labor shortages. In 2022, inflation reached the fastest pace in 4 decades, according to the Congressional Budget Office. Inflation still persists due to strong demand and restrained supply, even though recently interest rates have gone up very significantly, almost double what they were even just a year ago. In the Southwest, there are ongoing concerns about drought and water shortages. Longer term, experts say climate will have complex and variable effects on agriculture depending on geography. We're likely to continue to see extreme drought. It's projected to cause major crop and pasture losses. Next, I'm going to provide an overview of climate change. This slide refers to a remarkable article that appeared in the United Kingdom publication called The Guardian. I found this article very insightful that England would report about the City of Phoenix Heat Mitigation Office and how there seems to be loopholes in city processes that enable urban heat to continue despite many initiatives that exist that aren't fully implemented. Developers have loopholes that seem to be a hindrance to successful urban growth that allows growth to happen. Growth is generally good. I personally am pro-development, but at the same time, to not contribute to the existing problems that we have with climate change. Climate impact change is variable. Some areas will experience supply chain disruption, market volatility, and price hikes. Some areas may actually benefit from climate change. Areas that are in the far north that typically haven't had success with certain kinds of crops and yields may benefit from having slightly modulated temperatures, which allow existing crops to flourish and thrive more, or new crops may be introduced and will contribute towards economic development and prosperity. Next, I'm going to summarize climate change data going back to the last century, 1975.